So the next thing to say is that information revolution leads to a kind of turning point in the history of humanity. And so there's these points in history. How many people are interested? Let me see your hands. Otherwise, it's like, look, man, just change my oil. I don't want to know about oil. I just want my oil changed. Like, to me, it's interesting. How many people are interested? Put it up. Otherwise, I'll just lose faith and show you what you need to do, and I'll sit behind my computer and do my email. Okay, you're interested. Cool. So the information revolution leads to these turning points. Is a turning point in the history of humanity. And so there's a couple of big turning points in the history of humanity where the way humans do things changes. Before that, there was dinosaurs, and there's a big turning point in the history of dinosaurs. A meteor hit our planet out in the Gulf of Mexico, off the Yucatan Peninsula, and put all this crap into space, and so blocked the sun, and the planet froze, and everything died. And that was a turning point, right? When you look at the history of the planet, big turning point, meteor impact, most of life's been killed, and then we evolved. I don't know how that happened. And then, go back however long, we were nomadic. We were hunters and gatherers. We killed things, we lived in tribes, we ate them, and we collected berries. So the story goes, right? And then at some point, we stopped doing that. Anybody know when we went from being hunters and gatherers to going to the mall? Where was the transition? Anybody? So we learned to farm and plant seeds and use a plow. The plow, I think, is one of the major tools, and hooking it up to an animal and being able to plow and farm. Then it was wow, we could make food. We don't have to keep looking for it and wandering the earth like Kung Fu, for anybody who knows that old TV show. Right? We could farm. That was a big turning point. The invention of the plow led to farming. We went from nomadic hunters and gatherers to an agrarian society. And when we stopped moving around, that gave rise to little villages, and cities eventually. And then, another turning point was maybe the printing press and the first information revolution. What's another turning point? Anybody in the history of humanity? The light bulb, for sure, right? Because before that, it's dark, gotta go to bed, we had maybe little oil burning lamps or whatever, but you're not playing football under oil burning lamps, I'll tell you that, at night. Maybe you could do a little bit of reading. But I think the lamp really impacted, or the electric light bulb really impacted humans because it changed how we sleep. Allowed us to kind of do more stuff when it's dark. What's another turning point? Not a huge one, the light bulb, but worthy of mention for sure. What's another one? Fire? Yeah, fire's been really important. I don't know if it led to a big shift, but I have heard the story that if you let the fire go out, they'd kill you. I don't know if that's true. Somebody'd have to stay up and keep the fire going, so that if they lost it, they no longer had fire. But fire, there's an interesting story about fire, which we're going to talk about, which is the myth of Prometheus, who stole fire from the gods and gave it to the humans. We'll talk about that in a minute. So knowing how to use fire, it's an important thing for humans. To heat, to create light, to cook, to kill other people. We can use fire to kill other people. Don't you want to kill those other people over there? They're weird. They like that other president, and I think we should kill them with fire. Because we cook steak with fire, we could cook them with fire too. It's true, this is how humans think. So another big turning point was the Industrial Revolution. We went from whatever the hell we had before that, maybe the Wild West, to mass production and mass consumption and the assembly line. And before that, we had the Age of Exploration. And then we had British imperialism. And the education system rose out of British imperialism because they had to train people who could be swapped. They were interchangeable. They had to train people to, like, okay, now you go do that job at that post. So they had to give people the same abilities of reading and writing and doing basic math. And they're still teaching the same crap like it's delivered from God, if there is even is a God. You know, like, and the 11th commandment, thou shalt learn reading, writing, and arithmetic. No, that came from British imperialism. That's where the education system rose from. And then we had the Industrial Revolution and the assembly line and mass production and mass consumption. And things enter the factory at one point, and then processes are done to each item in the assembly line, and then it leaves the factory, and a quality grade's given to the item, and it's sent out into the world. And it's all very structured and orderly. That's this in here. This is the assembly line of education right now. We're leaving the industrial age, but the way that our educational systems are set up are still a reflection of British imperialism, the age of exploration, and Industrial Revolution. Trippy. Are there different ways to do education? I always have to do this when I get to this point. Maybe I should be on camera though when I'm doing it. Are there different ways to do education? Teach yourself how to do something, right? Like if the camera wasn't on me, I'd go to the back corner of the classroom. We could turn the camera so you get the full effect. So this is a stunt, but it's weird, right? Your brain is right now going like, what the hell is going on? How many people are like, this is so weird. What the hell is he doing up there? My teacher's standing on a desk at the back of the classroom. Because you've all been indoctrinated. You've all drank in the Kool-Aid. This is the way we do things. You've all been steeped in a system. It's a rut in your mind. This is the teacher comes in the classroom and stands at the front and talks, and I sit here and listen. Cue Pink Floyd and like that scream, just ah! You know, dun 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 dun. Right? Like seriously, just ah! Like, break out. Because we started talking about turning points in the history of humanity, but now we're moving into the cornerstone of technology. So we're going to talk about that next.